It was bound to be a road of twists and turns. After all, that's what it was all about. To inject intrigue into the mix, to add a bit of drama, give it all a bit of spice. And we had intrigue, no question.
Toro Rosso are your winners here today.
And drama, without doubt.
Liner, Grosjean's tapped us a bit round.
And plenty of spice, alright.
The only thing I have going for me is trying to keep it on the outside of this corner, and look at that, what a stunning shot.
But who could tame this orange beast?
This is probably the most dominant this McLaren car's looked the entire season so far.
The reigning champion on loan from Maranello Stables, Aarava, the king of consistency.
First place and a win.
Or the two-time champion. No, not the Doc, but Fernando Alonso.
Alonso slowed up. That was engine smoke. And Alonso is out. He's absolutely on fire here at the moment. It's 3 wins in a row for Fernando Alonso. He's got alien-like pace here right now at the moment.
Respect at first, rivals to the last.
Go down the inside, make sure he's in the mirror, and then let him have the win.
Oh, what became of them along the way?
He set a purple lap time there, but then Alonso immediately sets another better purple lap time. It's a 1-2 for McLaren, and what you know, it's actually going to be the Constructors' World Championship for McLaren F1.
So here we are, and here they are. Welcome to Formula One. Welcome to Formula One indeed. What's up, guys? Ira here, and welcome back to an episode of my F1 2018 Career Mode, episode number 63 today for the season finale of Season 3 at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. If you guys did miss the previous one then at the Brazilian Grand Prix, or indeed any of the previous episodes of this season or the entire Career Mode, be sure to go check them out and get caught up here, because it's been a whirlwind third season here, fighting Fernando Alonso all season long, and it comes down to this then. 8 points is the difference between myself in first place right now and second place Alonso for the championship. We wrapped up the constructors early at Japan. It is now just this final race to decide the drivers' world title. You can see everyone barring Mercedes has actually not brought any updates now to this final race. All of us waiting and conserving resource points for the R&D reset, the major rule regulation change going from Season 3 to Season 4. But, you know, let's forget all of that. It's just one final qualifying session, one final race. And will it be a third world title for Fernando Alonso, or a second one to add to my one I got in Season 2 in this career mode? Let's find out today. Let's go to qualifying and see how we do over one lap first.
We are at the beautiful Yas Marina circuit where qualifying is about to begin. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the action. When it comes to getting lap time out of this circuit, it's traditionally been about maximising top speed. Do you simply remove as much downforce as possible, hang on into the corners and max out down the straights?
Top speed is a key factor for this circuit. Even if you can achieve the same lap time as someone running less wing than you, chances are you'll find overtaking difficult if you have too much drag.
So straight away into Q1 and the end of our first final lap then, what is our final qualifying day in this papaya orange McLaren Renault here under the floodlights of Abu Dhabi across the line. It will be good enough to get us into Q2, thankfully, of course. We're just trying to make it into Q3. Alonso looking pretty swift. You can see Grosjean, though, matches him there. So we might have a bit of a fight on our hands with the Haas car and the Force India. Obviously, if there's more players in the mix, I guess you could say, in the top 10, that'll be either a good thing or a bad thing for us, because it could be good if they kind of can maybe push Alonso down the order, but it could be bad because, of course, if Alonso was to get ahead of them and then push us down the order, then that just wouldn't work, because technically if Alonso wins this Grand Prix and I come in second place, that's good enough for me, but if I come third or lower, that is not good enough and I would lose the championship. So it's a kind of, you know, double-edged sword if there's going to be a lot of people around us also on pace here around Yas Marina. But as we go through the final corner then on our second flying lap of the day, our first in Q2, and it's going to be good enough to get into Q3, thankfully, so we will have 2 fresh sets of Hypersoft tyres to use in Q3. So we have 2 goes at trying to get the best position we can, which is pole position, of course. We've got 2 poles so far this season. One of them I didn't even start on pole at the Japanese Grand Prix, of course, but pole at Mexico didn't really work out for us in the end. But let's hope we can try and do a good job here in Q3 now as we really get into the full nighttime swing. It's no longer the sun going down. It's fully pitch black now, and we have to use the floodlights to see around this beautiful circuit. But as we swing through now our second final lap in Q3, at the moment we're down in P3 behind Sergio Perez, just ahead of Kevin Magnussen. We know we need to find some time, and we are going to find a lot of time under braking, especially into the chicane after the back straight. It looks like I went very timid in that first run there, so I gain a heap of time just in that brake zone alone, and also using a bit of overtake mode on that back straight, which you didn't see. And then we move on to Sector 3, just trying to keep it clean then through the lines and hopefully not get lost on the curbs somewhat, because we could definitely lose some time by getting stuck on one of these curbs. You can see so far now with only 2 corners to go, no dramas in Sector 3. We still held up that time we gained on the top right there in green, and so through the last corner now, we're down in P4 at the moment behind Ocon, just ahead of Verstappen across the line, and it will be a pole position at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix by 1/10 of Fernando Alonso, so uber close in qualifying there between us two, but it's a front row lockout for McLaren. I wouldn't want it any other way. Obviously, the McLaren car has been an absolute beast this season, and so it's fitting that we end it off with a front row lockout here for the final time, and really great that I can get pole position in my final race here for McLaren. But we've done the first half of the job, obviously. The second half now comes in the race. Can we hold this first place? Will Alonso get us? What will happen with the cars behind us? It's all to be answered, and the question of who's going to be the Drivers' Championship for Season 3 here in F1 2018 Career Mode beckons. So here we go. Let's go to the intro and find out.
Welcome to Yas Marina Circuit for the swan song of another thrilling Formula One season. It's been a breathtaking year, and we end it at a circuit that has been the scene of many glories and heartbreaks over its short history. It's time to end the season in style. It's time for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The drivers will be racing here on Yas Island today through 21 corners and a lap distance of around 3.4 miles. There are plenty of opportunities to pass with long straights and DRS zones in 2 places, at turns 8 and at turn 11. Plenty of close racing then, plenty of speed and plenty of drama to be found in the laps to come. Joining me for today's race once again is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about the engineer. That was a solid result in their last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
With that then, let's run through the grid order. The engineer lines up on pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Ocon, Gasly, Sebastian Vettel and Ricciardo, Leclerc, Raikkonen, Alonso. They've taken a grid penalty. And Nico Hülkenberg, Sainz, Hartley, Lewis Hamilton and Bottas, Grosjean, Sirotkin, Lance Stroll and Max Verstappen. Magnussen and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
We're still in with a shot at the driver's title. It's down to this. Now go out there and come back a champion.
So even before the race begins, there's another twist to this tale. Fernando Alonso's down in P9 due to some engine penalties at the last minute here in the final race. So that is definitely going to make our life maybe potentially easier, but knowing Alonso, obviously we've seen time and time again this season, he's come back from worse sometimes. So let's not get our hopes up too high, but it definitely does help and definitely adds another spanner in the works for his title challenge here this afternoon and into the night sky, I guess, here in Abu Dhabi. But the strategy is going to be a 2-stop, of course, Hypersoft to 2 sets of ultra soft tyres. Tyre wear is going to be very high and very crucial, so that's going to be something we need to look out for. But we're on pole position, so let's just try and do the best job we can in the first stint at least. And so here we go then for the final time in Season 3. It's a 5 red lights for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and the championship decider who will be crowned the F1 Drivers' World Champion after this race, Fernando Alonso or myself. Here we go as the 5 red lights go out and we're underway then for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix off pole position. It's a good getaway from us, a little bit of wheel spin in third gear, but into turn 1, very defensive to keep our first place there. The two Force Indians go neck and neck, and they've slowed each other down so much that look at that on the top left. Pierre Gasly now in the Toro Rosso Honda up into second place, Perez down to third. So the two Force Indians in pink fought each other too hard into turn 1, and they've given up those positions. Meanwhile, Fernando Alonso side by side with his old Ferrari teammate Kimi Raikkonen, and then into the hairpin. Ahead of them is Leclerc and Vettel side by side with Dan Ricciardo, I believe that is. So a lot of Noah's Ark going on here, 2 by 2 it is. But Alonso now on the right hand side of Kimi. Can he get the straight line speed? He should do. Obviously the McLaren car has the best engine on the grid by a mile, and looks like he will get ahead of Raikkonen. So that's already, I believe, 2 passes maybe up into P7 or P8 there for Alonso. But he's got Leclerc, Vettel, Ricciardo, the 2 Force Indies and Gasly to contend with before he gets up to myself in P1. But will it be P1 for too long? Because look at that now, Gasly with all the speed in the world. That Toro Rosso is flying at the moment on lap
lap 1 on heavy fuel, and he's round my outside. He's up into first place momentarily. We're side by side now in the middle of Sector 3, trying to fight him back there, and Gasly is going to get squeezed out and back down to P2, but momentarily had a scare there. For a moment I was down to P2, and the Frenchman did really well to hound me there, to be fair to him. But now let's try and settle down, calm down, and get away from Gasly if we can, as we set the purple lap, obviously being the first one across the line, and now setting it up into rich mix. I think that might be the difference there. I was in stand mixture still, so maybe with rich mix now I can get away, as I look behind me quite frantically and a bit panicky, just trying to see where Gasly is, and we are pulling away thankfully. So let's try and see if we can build a gap now in first place, although Gasly is going to keep me honest though through these laps as the tyre wear kicks in for the hypersofts. Obviously hypersofts don't go too long, and Gasly is really flying now once again to the end of sector 1. He makes a dive bomb move to the inside of that first chicane there, and we have to go very defensive, and we really lose a lot of time there trying to dance around and keep him at bay in second place. And so he's going to be right up our gearbox, and maybe he's going to have another pop at us for first place in this Grand Prix. Meanwhile, still the 2 Force Indians right behind. Vettel's managed to get ahead of Daniel Ricciardo, but Alonso is still behind Leclerc. That's Sauber in P8 at the moment there. So Alonso is being held up by traffic, as now Gasly, now for the second time down this Grand Prix, is Romeo outside, and this time round he's fully up into first place of the Grand Prix. But crucially now, this time now, it's lap 5. We have DRS to combat him, and here we go. Fate to the left a little bit, and now to the right on the outside, and we're back up into first place of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. But that Toro Rosso and Gasly is giving me a much bigger fight than I ever anticipated, really, to be honest. And I thought with the Force Indians behind, I thought they'd be the ones really hounding me. But now we get a really poor exit, and that Honda is flying in the back of that Toro Rosso, and Gasly again side by side through the double right-hander kinks there into the hotel section. Can we still pull this through? We're still neck and neck, bit of contact with the tyres. We're literally drifting through and doing a bit of rallycross at the moment here under the hotel, under the bridge, and now we go through to the second last corner, back up into first, just about ahead of Gasly, and you can see a little bit of a tank slapper there for good measure and a bit of style there, as we're really wrangling the neck of this car, trying to survive out here in first place. But meanwhile, I think Alonso has just pit in now for a potential undercut. We're only on lap 6 now. This is where my default pit stop was, so to make the 2-stop work on 2 sets of ultras, I needed to try and get to lap 6, and so we're doing that. But Alonso's decided to pit on to lap 5 to try and get an undercut, so it might be quite a successful undercut, because my rear tyres did really go off, especially on that last lap here on lap 6. But this is going to be very crucial for the end game of this Grand Prix, because those ultra soft tyres also don't hold up too much. Last season I had to ditch them and go to a set of super softs for one stint. I don't want to do that this time round. The car should have the pace to make ultra softs work quite well. I just need to make sure I stretch these hypers for that long, so we might lose that a little bit right now at the moment as we come out the pit lane, but we're going to gain later on in the race by having 2 sets of ultras rather than a set of super softs at some point in this race. So here we come now out on lap 7, and it looks like the undercut has literally worked miracles at the moment here, because I'm going to come out not only behind Daniel Ricciardo as we go very wide, but also behind Fernando Alonso. So he's just jumped up from what was around P8 or P7 into effectively almost maybe a net podium, as there's a very big near contact collision there with Ricciardo, Alonso and myself. Looks like Ricciardo, with a bad lock up there, was taking Alonso wide, and I'm very thankful that I didn't break off any bit of my front wing by tapping Alonso's rear end there. And so now those two go side by side. Can we try and join the battle and maybe make it 3 wide? Here we go. We're gaining like an absolute rocket ship in this McLaren with DRS open, ERS going, and it's going to be 3 wide into the large brake zone, the chicane on the back straight, Ricciardo in the middle, and us 2 McLaren shoved off a little bit. Ricciardo, goes slow, and he holds us up there. And so we've actually gone back down the order. I was going to look to overtake Alonso on the exit of that chicane, but then Ricciardo slowing up has held me up massively, and now I'm defending from Ocon as well, and now I'm sat here watching Alonso pass Ricciardo, and I'm left still defending Ocon there. So that was really very frustrating, because I would have got Alonso if it wasn't for Ricciardo slowing up for some reason. I think he lost traction on the curbing. And so we're down the order in P12 at the moment. I don't know where it's going to be when we filter out, of course, because there's a few people doing a 1-stop, I think, perhaps. But you can see in cleaner air on lap 10, I've got the pace here for a fast lap of the Grand Prix. So it really was a case of the tyres going off. But this is what I mean now. I've got more pace now in the tank on ultras than I would have if I had to go on super softs maybe later in this Grand Prix. But you've got the Ferrari of Vettel side by side there with Ericsson. He's overtaken Ericsson as we now dive it down the inside of Ricciardo. Ricciardo for a very opportunistic move, very similar to the one we made on, I believe it was Ocon last season, and so caught him napping somewhat, and that's a crucial move because at the same time, on that same straight then, down the road, Alonso is going to try maybe make a move on the Sauber, maybe no, the Sauber, surprisingly, Ericsson tries to overtake Sebastian Vettel. Very, very odd scenes here. The Sauber's looking like he wants some of that Ferrari there, and Ericsson's feeling very punchy indeed, and he's got the straight line speed actually, for some reason, that Ferrari's quite slow. I don't know if Vettel has an issue, but he's going to go for another pop then on the outside into the kind of double chicane section here in the last part of Abu Dhabi, and on the nose cam of Alonso just watching that fight go on. So both of us now held up in traffic here, and so this is all rather tense at the moment there. You've got the championship rivals literally right next to each other and kind of in the middle of a battle that they're not really a part of, because really, if you think about it, realistically, the McLaren should be a lot faster than the Sauber or Ferrari and the Red Bull on any day of the week, really. If you watch the last couple episodes of this season, the car is in such a good place, but at the moment, obviously, it's so difficult to make a pass in this entire second half of the Abu Dhabi circuit that we're left to be kind of stuck here at the moment in P11 and P10 respectively. Now on to lap 11, and now will Alonso make a pop there? There he goes for a very late move on the outside of turn 1. Oh, Ericsson slows him down, takes him wide. Can we go now down the inside of Alonso? This would be very good for us if we can overtake him right about now, but it doesn't work. Oh, we made some contact! And some contact there, and we're very, very lucky not to break off a bit of our front wing as the tyres rubbed a little bit, the front right to his rear left, and so that was oh too close. And so for the final time this season, we're probably giving Zach Brown a bit of a heart attack on the pit wall, I can't deny that. But now on the main straight, Alonso with DRS, this should be a very easy pass for him on the Sauber, but can we also try and pass the Sauber in quick succession here, as he's going to be caught napping a little bit down the inside? Maybe it's a late move, bit of contact made, and so that's not really the smartest decision I've ever made, but you know what, it has to be made. It's a very crucial overtake. I need to stick with Alonso. I can't afford to have two cars between us, and so here we go on the left hand side finally with DRS, and that fight was a little bit closer than I wanted it to be, but in the end we do make it through unscathed and with no damage to the car, so we can carry on now trying to chase after Alonso now on lap 12 with DRS open there. We are gaining rapidly on Fernando, and he goes a little bit defensive at the last minute there. Can we maybe make a move on the outside? He opens up the gap there, but just doesn't have enough room for us there on the right hand side, so we have to stick behind now in P8, P7 for Alonso. So clearly there definitely are quite a few cars then up ahead of us trying an alternative strategy, because obviously I don't think we're actually down here in P7 and P8, because I think the two Renaults especially, I think they're going very long in this Grand Prix, trying a one-stop potentially. So now here we go for this second time, and this time we're a lot closer now to Alonso to maybe make a move to the inside now of the chicane there. Alonso's going to squeeze us a little bit towards the apex there. It's so close between our two cars. We do a beautiful little switchback move to try and get it on the right-hand side, but it doesn't work out. We have to cut back in for a bit of slipstream and tow with DRS and ERS, but that's going to work out for us on the right-hand side, and we're up the order and ahead of Alonso. Crucial overtake, great overtake for us. And so now we see if we can try and get away from him, but that's going to be easier said than done. Of course, we've seen many times before how often I've tried to get away from Alonso, but he's just been an alien and a monster this season, and so he just doesn't want to give up ever. And as you can clearly see on the main straight then, Alonso is close enough for DRS, as well as Ricciardo's not too far off there, so we need to be careful. It might turn into a three-way fight if we fight too much with Alonso, but I need to try and keep him behind if I can help it. But Alonso with a really late dive on the outside, we lock up on the front left, and that takes us deep and wide and makes us make some contact with Alonso. Another switchback move, and this time round it's a textbook one, because it gets us fully ahead of Alonso, but he's got the legs on us, and crucially this time round he has DRS on this second mini straight, and we squeeze him to the left, but Ricciardo's going to try and dive bomb on the outside. We break early to try and get away, because I kind of foresaw a bit of contact maybe if I try to make it go three wide with these two cars. And so now Alonso and Ricciardo will once again go neck and neck, but they're actually going to maybe go side by side for this entire section, and this will be quite something to sit back and watch really. So at the moment I'm honestly just sitting here with a bucket of popcorn in the cockpit, trying to suss out where on earth I can make an overtake. You can see how close I'm getting to both Alonso and Ricciardo's gearboxes there, but I just can't find any room, because two cars going side by side through this entire section is already nearly too much for Abu Dhabi to take. And so I'm just going left to right, trying to figure out where I can make a pop, but it's not going to work out. And in the end, Alonso is going to be the one that makes a pop to the inside now. He's going to slow down Ricciardo though over that bump, and so now we might have a chance to overtake the Aussie man on lap 15, but Alonso is going to get up into what will be P3 in the Grand Prix. Ricciardo down to P4. Here we come now from P5, and in an instant it's going to be up into P4 though on the inside. DRS available to us and helped us out massively there, and so it's now 3-4 for the McLaren boys at the moment, and eventually it'll be 1 and 2. But remember, of course, both of us have to make a second pit stop in this Grand Prix. And speaking about the pit stops now, on lap 16, we've got 12 laps to go. I'm going to call in to box this lap and try and get an undercut on Alonso if we can help it, but Alonso comes in on that same lap and blocks our pit stop then effectively, and so it's not the first time he's done that, but this time around we didn't make the mistake of going in anyway with him, and so I didn't, unlike Hungary when that happened, I didn't have to make a pit stop for a front wing, so we can go on for one more lap. It just means that I definitely can't get an undercut, of course, and I don't think the overcut is really a thing here at Abu Dhabi, so we come in one lap later, lap 17, and I'm already a little bit peeved off that Alonso came in, but those things happen. He was first on track, so of course he gets the first call. Toro Rosso boys are out then for a pit stop for Gasly, I think that is as well, but we're in now for a second set of ultra soft tyres, and now we go to the end of this Grand Prix and we try and do the best job we can at trying to catch Alonso, because it will be a catching game, because there's no way he's going to come out side by side with us or behind us as we come up out the underground tunnel on the pit exit, and we're actually behind Ricciardo then, and meanwhile Alonso is making a pass on Valtteri Bottas. We've got a huge amount of traffic then ahead of us of Sebastian Vettel, Hamilton, Ricciardo for us personally as well to get past there. So let's see if maybe the traffic can help me out, and I can try and close up on Alonso and try and dice through this a little bit faster than he can as we rapidly close up then on Ricciardo, and it's going to be a plain sail overtake in a straight line on the Aussie man. Next up will be Valtteri Bottas in that slow Mercedes car. I'm not sure if all these guys are going to the end of the Grand Prix or not. The two Renaults are the ones that lead this train at the moment, so I would say they're probably going to come in eventually for a pit stop, but I think the Mercedes might be trying a longer strategy here, so I have to try and make these overtakes, and Alonso thinking the same thing on Sebastian Vettel, who's definitely going to the end of this Grand Prix, I think. So the Ferrari guys have had a good strategy here, and so Alonso down the inside to the chicane, to the hairpin, then the outside of Vettel. Vettel's going to push him out there, and so he's doing a great job for myself. Potentially my future teammate in Season 4 is trying to help me out maybe here, but Alonso's eventually going to get that pass with DRS, as we no contest there, McLaren v Ferrari, and then also for us going to be no contest against Valtteri Bottas then, but Bottas is actually going to have a pop at Vettel maybe, and so as we go into the late break zone there of the back straight, I can't actually make a pass on Bottas as easily as I want to. We have to go down the inside eventually and find a way through, but that was a lot harder than I thought it would be, and Vettel up ahead is now coming unscathed there. He was so close to us before, and then Bottas going side by side momentarily, he gets away from us, but it's Vettel ahead of us, then Alonso, then Hamilton, then you can see the two Renaults. But like I said, I think those two Renaults, I think they will eventually come in for a pit stop, so I don't think there'll be an issue. But Hamilton, I'm not sure how much he'll hold up Alonso. Vettel might hold us up though, because obviously he doesn't have any affinity to us really at the moment. But it's, oh, Hamilton's gone wide. Hamilton real wide. We've avoided him just by a whisker there on the outside of turn 1. We got very lucky indeed. That could have been a slam dunk front wing off there if I didn't see him just in the distance in the last second there. And so Alonso, whilst overtaking Hamilton, gets a free overtake basically, and Vettel also gets a free one as well, of course. And so we're up into P7, Vettel P6, Alonso P5. The two Renaults will be obviously P4 and 3, and I believe, I want to say it's Kimi Raikkonen in second place actually, with one of the Force Indias in first. So I think that is the kind of running order you're seeing in this Grand Prix as we get past Sebastian Vettel very easily, again just like with Ricciardo in a straight line, no qualms there. And then we close up to Nico Hülkenberg, who might have a bit more of an issue. Of course, we had a major issue overtaking Hülkenberg at the Japanese Grand Prix, where he squeezed me off at the last chicane at Suzuka. Hopefully this will be a much easier getaway, and it will be, because we get him in a straight line here. And so this back straight is paying much dividends to myself and Alonso, to be fair, as well. On lap 21, with 7 laps to go in this Grand Prix, then it's P4 for myself, Alonso in P3, and like I alluded to earlier, it's Sergio Perez that actually leads the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Fantastic strategy and race pace from the Mexican there. Of course, he was unable to get a win at Mexico and even the Brazilian Grand Prix, so third time's the charm here for Checo for first place. Second place is Kimi Raikkonen, third is
is Fernando Alonso, myself in P4 and Vettel in P5. So as it stands right now, I would be the world champion here if Alonso finishes up in P3 and myself in P4. Behind Vettel then is the two Mercedes cars, followed by a very quick Red Bull Ocon, then the Haas of Grosjean, and then the two Toro Rosso Honda cars. So I imagine the Mercedes will fall behind eventually. But here we go now through the dying stage of this Grand Prix now. Alonso is now within 1 second of Raikkonen, will have DRS, and he will surely go for the overtaking move up into P2 of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. There he goes, the big dive down the inside, and it's no match. Raikkonen's got nothing to defend with there, and Alonso is up into P2 now. But I believe there's a big gap then from Alonso to Perez, so I don't believe the race win is under threat for Perez, so that's good for me, because if Alonso finishes up in P2, P4 is still good enough for me to win the championship, because that will be a 6-point lead that Alonso gets on me. The only man now in this race that can spoil the party for me is that man in red behind me, my potential future teammate in Season 4, Sebastian Vettel. And by the time we get to lap 28, Vettel makes a surprising little dive at the hairpin, and he's sniffing around, and he's within 1 second, and he might actually try and do this. He's going to try and spoil the party and try and ruin my plan here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. He goes for it. This is crucial for the championship. Vettel with a big dive. It's a double lockup. This could be contact between me and Vettel. We have to be careful here. We go to the inside of the chicane. We've got DRS now back on Vettel because we are behind the detection point, and so it's a crucial pass once again to get back up into P4. But for a split few seconds there, Vettel was literally ruining our championship hopes in a split moment on the last lap of the Grand Prix. But we pull it ahead of him in P4, and we know how difficult it's to overtake in the last sector. So as much as Vettel tried to spoil it, and as much as Alonso fought hard up into P2, it's going to be first place for Sergio Perez, second place for Fernando Alonso. Kimi Raikkonen gets third, and in the end, it will be P4 for us at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and that will be enough for us. And so after a season-long titanic battle with Fernando Alonso in this absolute monster of an orange McLaren car, we come through the final corner to take our second World Drivers' Championship here in Season 3.
Wonderful drive. You're now the Drivers' World Champion. The team want to say thanks for a brilliant job this season.
It's been my privilege over the years to witness a number of great sporting events, and here's another to add to that prestigious list. It's the ultimate dream for any racing driver. We have a new Formula One World Champion. So another fantastic victory for Force India today. And I have to wonder, Anthony Davidson, just what set them apart from the competition here.
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
What an ending to this season. That last lap with Vettel was so nauseating for me in the cockpit. I almost felt like, Rosberg in 2016 in real life when he had to try and pass Verstappen, and then also when he was being backed into Vettel by Hamilton. I almost felt like that. Vettel again was trying to ruin a world champion's finish to the race there, and he went for it, and it really gave me a good run for the money in the last lap. But we do it, and we win the championship by 2 points then to Alonso. He's been such a good adversary. He's been such a tough rival, and he pushed me to the absolute limit there and really tested me this season. But there we have it. We're a double world champion now in F1 2018 career, back to back in Season 2 and Season 3 for not only the drivers but also constructors. But now let's go through to the final interview then with Claire this season, and then we can enjoy the ending.
The fans really seem to enjoy that. You made it look easy. Would you say that your rival is still on your level?
Obviously, Vettel gave me a real good fight. He might well be my teammate next season, so I'm going to have to say I give a lot of respect to him for giving me a good fight there. Obviously, he's on my level, I would say, in definitely, trying to give me a good fight at the end.
That was an epic battle today. How do you think this will play out?
I think I beat Vettel twice in the rivalry, but, in going with being sportsmanship earlier on the season, Austria, going to end this and be a sporting world champion with the right-hand side
Do you
answer.
think you were lucky not to end your race with that crash?
And I think this collision question could have been about anything, really. We made a bit of contact with Alonso, traded paint with Ricciardo, Vettel. It was a very nerve-wracking Grand Prix, so I'm just not going to answer that final question then.
Great. Well, that's everything.
And so we're going to round up the episode then. We're going to be beaten by Alonso. Well, not officially, but technically beaten for a fourth time here. So it's 3-1 to Alonso in that teammate rivalry over the course of the season. So you can see definitely, no shadow of a doubt, he really did push me to the limit. But we win the Drivers' World Championship. There is our trophy, our second one. Obviously, we got the Constructors one earlier at the Japanese Grand Prix. But absolutely amazing to be a double world champion then in the F1 2018 career mode. And so now there's nothing more to do, really. Of course, guys, if you did watch the first episode of this season and you follow along with the storyline, there was a reason why I have a Ferrari badge on my helmet. I am still technically a contracted Ferrari driver. I came into Formula 1 with Haas as a Ferrari junior driver. Ferrari did not believe I was quite ready, though, to step into that red car in Season 3. So we did a deal. We put pen to paper that had a clause in the contract that said I'm still a loanee Ferrari driver, but I can be loaned out to some other team. I chose to go with McLaren, but the clause was that if Ferrari do not win the Constructors' Championship, I'm guaranteed a seat in Season 4 for Ferrari. So they clearly did not win it, and they didn't win it by a mile. So in Season 4, I will be there in Maranello, finally in the #1 Ferrari seat. I don't know who my teammate is, because both Raikkonen and Vettel had their fair share of mishaps this season, so I'll leave Arriva Bene to choose that decision there. But we're going to be going to Maranello next season, guys. But if you did enjoy what was a thoroughly enthralling and entertaining season for me to do with that mega scrap with Fernando Alonso, then be sure to smash the like button, guys. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're not to get subscribed for weekly F1 content, I've been aarava. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Nice job this season. You've been performing well, and that's putting us in a strong negotiating position contract-wise. Plus, my 10%'s getting more valuable. So enjoy your break, and keep up the good work next year.